Namaste. Welcome, beautiful souls. Welcome back. Let's see, that should be better. There we go. Welcome back to my journey through the Tarot de Marseille. And today, in lieu of the Empress comparison, I'm going to do a side-by-side. And today we're going to look at two decks. This is the Jodorowsky Cam 1 Tarot de Marseille and La Corte de Tarocchi. This deck here. And I know this deck is a favorite of a lot of people that are new to Tarot de Marseille. It's a lovely tarot deck made of watercolor paper cardstock. It shuffles beautifully. It's uncoated. It feels like working with something old world. It really is a lovely deck on many, many layers. And a long time ago, I made a video about, I think I called it 10 Things Why I Love Working with the Tarot de Marseille. And while this deck is not strictly a Tarot de Marseille, it certainly falls into that genre. And I thought while I'm doing this journey through the Tarot de Marseille that it might be fun to have a look at this deck, especially those of you that really like to work with it, to see how close or far away it is from a convert, say a convert deck. So the Jodorowsky Cam 1 deck is based on the convert tarot. And so we'll go through the cards. I'll make a few comments here and there, and we will we'll just share our thoughts. And then next week, and I know I said this has been my intention, I just need to get ahead of the game in planning my videos, but I would like to do in the previous hour side by side or a walkthrough, and then at the 12 o'clock hour to do the single card reflection. So hopefully I can get organized enough to do that for next week. So we'll do a side-by-side, and then we'll do the Empress discussion at 12 o'clock. And so you can watch those whenever. You don't have to be here on the live stream. It's just easier for me to do this live. Saves on the editing time. So if you're new, welcome. I'm Sadhana. Hello. I've been reading tarot for a long time, and just not Tarot de Marseille. And even though I have over the years dabbled in these cards, I'm finding this really I don't know, it's kind of like coming home. It really makes sense to be doing it now for me. So welcome, Dee. Welcome to you. And as I look at this bateleur and I look at the incorporation of the lemniscate in the cap of the Il Bagato, this feels so familiar. It feels so familiar. And I'm really intrigued with the contrast with the implements that are on the table. The way that the swords are crossed. And it's like there's something to this pattern of one wand, two swords, three cups, and then many pentacles. And there's something about the way that, to that numerical symmetry. I like that. Now, the magician is looking off in both of the cards. And I don't know if this is something that you pay attention to, and how this, I maybe should have. I'm just going to get an RWS in hand in case I want to compare or share something. And we did talk about, spent probably 45 minutes. We were talking about the bateleur a couple of episodes ago. So yeah, so this is very different from the from Pixie's illustration here, in that in this magician, the magician is looking straight forward. And in these older cards, this is not the case. So what is the magician looking at? And this is one of the things about directions and facing in the Tarot de Marseille that is so It's so much easier to do because many of the cards are not forward facing. As many of the cards are not forward facing. Yeah, so I wonder, it's been a while since I've done a reading with this deck, and I wonder if you would find a repeating pattern with the way those implements are arranged on the table. So la papes and la papesa. I love the flowers in the background on the tree. Perhaps they are a wild rose. She still holds a sacred text. She faces towards us, so that certainly is different. And I know that is something that we also see in the Waite Smith deck. And the owl, and I know the lighting is not great. There's a little tiny gold moon up here surrounding the owl. And her garments are it's almost, she's a mirror see how she's got the red underneath and he has the blue. Yes, that is a good point. Le Bateleur will be looking away from his hands to distract the audience. So my mind would say, well, what is your distraction? That would be something that would come to mind should this card arise in a reading. And while these discussions are about the subtleties and the trying to better understand these older cards, it's also about how to work with them, right? And how to read them. Yeah. Hi, Paula. Welcome. Okay. So L'Imperatrice looks very familiar. She does have wings. And, there is a hint at the wings in the way that the throne is shaped in the Tarot de Marseille. And the only thing that really comes through for me is that belief that the royal families are descendants of deity. And I wonder if there's something to that. Yes, and direction of gaze and the contrast of direction of gaze with body position. So the way that the knees are facing and so forth. And I don't know that I have noticed before this little bit of green or yellow, this little bit that's showing in the seat of the Empress. When I just glanced at it for a second, I thought I was seeing like a moon shape or something. I don't know. I am. When we'll talk about this card more next week, I want to talk about that little the plant, the pineapple in the corner. L'Imperator, l'Empereur. And so the La Corte de Tarocchi is by an Italian artist named Anna Maria Donofrio. I don't think she's still alive. I'm not sure if this deck is still being produced. I think I have a second edition. No, I have a third edition. It is an Ilman and Gallo deck. Anna Maria Donofrio is an Italian artist of Trieste. She collaborated with the library Babel in Florence for the realization of small format artworks. She has participated in numerous group exhibitions and has transferred only to graphics. Does that mean recently? I don't know. In this work, the artist takes us into a bygone era, the characters, their clothes, and setting us back to the Middle Ages. These elements, with the addition of the particular format of the cards, make this deck unique and amazing, prized by collectors around the world. So there's, I feel like there's a response to many tarot traditions in this deck. They do. They look very medieval. Now, what I'm gazing at right now is how do you feel about seeing the faces of the supplicants? And notice that in the Jodorowsky Kemon deck, the Pop is not looking at the supplicants, but is gazing over to the left, whereas the Pope in the deck on the right is looking kind of lovingly at the supplicants, who look very young. Almost in a supporting nature. And I wonder as well, too, if there is a hint or a reference to left and right pillar. And if that is the case, what I'm seeing is a black pillar on the Pope's left side, and a white pillar on the Pope's right side. And I'm not sure that I've picked up on that before. I find that the more I study tarot, the more I gaze at cards, these absolutely fascinating correspondences come through. And I'm thinking of the number 6. I'm thinking of the Tree of Life and the sun at Tiferet. And looking at the Marseille and the hint of the sun, the energy behind the little angel. You know, I feel like when we're talking about Tarot de Marseille, the Golden Dawn correspondences get dismissed so easily, like they came out of nowhere. And the more that I look at tarot and allow for spaciousness and interpretation, I feel like I have these little smiles in the corner of my mouth, and it's like, okay, let's allow these things to shine through. And yeah, and we have a sun here. We have a sun, right? The energy of life force energy behind all of this. It does look like that. And I wonder if that those pillars are marching flags as well too. That could very well be. I find this card so fascinating. This is honestly, this is one of my favorite cards in the tarot. I love when the sevens show up in the chariot and the different iterations of the chariot across many decks. I think it's such a powerful metaphor. I need to rewatch, gosh, I need to rewatch that video that I shared in the Facebook group, um, and go through the charts that were offered at the end of that video. So if you're in my Facebook group, way back when I started this journey, one of you shared a video, and it's really quite excellent. I will add it to the description box below just because I need to bring it forward and watch it myself again. But one of the cards in that video that was discussed was this card as well. And I love all of the literature on the Chariot card. And isn't it so? It's interesting. Yeah, I think I prefer a trio and the lover as well. Justice. What I'm thinking here is the feminine article, law. Lady Justice. Why is justice feminine? Why is justice not neutral? And I know there's no neutral pronoun in Romance languages, but just a thought, random thought. I don't have an answer for you. Where is the sword? How is the sword? The scales are still in the left hand, and the sword is sort of being cradled. Kind of awkwardly cradled. When I see the hermit in this card, I felt that it's almost like a ghost story. It feels like it could come out of an Edgar Allan Poe story or something. It's and the look, expression on the face is it's quite alarming, actually. Like there's real uncertainty about where we're headed. It doesn't give me that strong sense of purpose and intention that I normally would pick up on a hermit card. Okay, let's go to Dee's comment here. I've read the lack of prudence in the Tarot de Marseille and how the chariot may represent prudence, right? The lack of that virtue. Okay, thank you. Yes, I know that the virtues have been assigned to various places in the tarot. And the other thing too with the Roman numerals, notice that this is the right on the in the Tarot de Marseille, we've got a 5 plus a 4, and then we have more contemporary way of doing Roman numerals here. And sometimes when I'm looking at the Roman numerals in a deck, I will respond differently to the surrounding cards if there is a 5 plus a 4 versus a 9 as a 1 away from a 10. It just feels different, if you know what I mean. And I remember So one of the more contemporary decks that does the old school Roman numerals is the Vision Quest Tarot. And I was so surprised when I opened that deck to see that, because it has a different, it's funny, like letters, keywords, numbers, facings, symbols. There's so many details on the deck that can, take us off wandering down a certain path, or wandering down a certain path. The figure that is on the left side of the wheel in La Corte um, looks kind of ominous. I mean, I'm looking at at my screen, not focusing in on the card, but it really looks kind of scary. I'm not going to pick it up, but yeah. I feel like the wheel is going in a different direction as well too in the two decks. Do you pay attention to the way the wheel is turning? Is it winding? Is it unwinding? This is something that's always been of real interest to me, and I did a course way back called I think it was Read With Me Too, and I was focusing on in that course when questions and how to pick up on timings in tarot. And I asked people how they visualized calendars in their mind and the turning of time. And I don't know, I'm so fascinated when, for example, you might see an astrological wheel that turns clockwise instead of counterclockwise, or it's just something that gives me pause. And so I might pay attention, not might, I would pay attention to the way the wheel is turning and how that unfolds with the rest, with the rest of the deck. It's too bad Saskia's not here, because I know that she really likes this this deck. So you can see that the hat, the lemniscate-esque hat that the woman wears in La Corte de Tarocchi is incorporated as a lemniscate within the cap, just like the magician. The thing I would love to do, actually, a deep dive with this deck, with this card, and look at a bunch of strength cards through. Well, I mean, we will get to this, but maybe I will put a bit more energy into this card, because and I want to get out when we do this card, to do the one JJ Swiss. I might pull a bunch more. I'm so intrigued with so in the card on the left, what I feel is like she's looking off, or looking within, doing something. And what is it? What is this gesture of opening the lion's mouth? Whereas some decks, where it feels like the figure is actually attempting to break the jaws of the animal. And then in the Corte de Tarocchi, that it's like it's a very sweet sort of head tilted posture. Is that a dog? I think it is a dog. And the dog is looking up. They're looking at each other, actually. I don't know if you can see. She may simply be a dog owner checking his teeth. And isn't this is, I mean, what are you going to read into this? The two little birds holding the rope, or maybe the two little birds are breaking the rope. Maybe the two little birds are freeing. Where are you going to take those two little birds if you're reading in the open style, and if you're moving those two little birds to other two little something else's or large something else's in a card, left or right? And the growth, right? The growth, the possibility that's happening in that tree. There's something kind of endearing about this card. That's funny, Dee. Tooth inspection. I've never done this before. I've done a side-by-side with La Corte de Tarocchi, and I'm glad I'm doing this just for myself. So let me know if you've done this, and if you've done it with a different deck. I was gonna do it with the deck I've already done a walkthrough of, the Fine della Torre, just because they're very similar paper, similar eras, but I wanted to look at a more traditional Tarot de Marseille. I love death in this card, the way that death is, it's almost comical. And I wonder, this is another one I'd like to put a little bit more energy into the when we get to it. The rib cage, and it's not really a rib cage because those lines go all the way down the back. The spine, the way the spine is drawn. I think there's more going on in this card than is discussed. I would like to take this discussion to a whole other level here. Mm. Okay. And then there's temperance. Temperanza. Temperanza. You know, that's funny. I'm just reading your comment now about he could lose his head. There's a kid in my neighborhood who got a whip, and he's practicing whipping, and I swear he's gonna he's gonna lose a body part. We need to be careful with our weapons. Okay, so what I notice here is that temperance on the left is either very focused internally. I almost see like meditative eyes in that one. Whereas temperance on the right is looking off again. And then what do we have going on? It almost looks as if there is water spilling up, like if this is a font, a little fountain. We do have the red and the blue that is maintained, and that's great. Do they look androgynous? Not so much. And in the center, we have the rose. We don't have a rose. I would say that if you are working with a deck like La Corte de Tarocchi, that it would be good to be a little bit familiar with the Tarot de Marseille. I think that, well, when we get to, well, you can be the judge of that, because when we get to the minors, you'll see how different they are. I will speed things up when we get there. And I feel as if La Corte de Tarocchi is perhaps a stepping stone to the Marseille. That's funny, Dee. The one on the right looks like a cocktail waiter. And I love to compare this card to both Hierophant and Lovers in any deck, just to see what the energy is picking up on. Because they both have something to say to each other. And I know particularly in Tarot de Marseille, it's the Hierophant that is compared 5 and 5. I wonder if you could say that the two figures in the foreground of the devil are older versions of the figures in the Le Pop, Il Pop. Okay. So we have the House of God and the Tower of Babel. And yes. Yeah, it does look like an imp. You know, there's a lot of great conversations about this particular card, and the stairs and the door and some of the cards without a door. I am and I think too, we don't often read this card in terms of because we don't tend to talk to ourselves this way if you're doing a reading for yourself, but you know, taking yourself down a notch, getting the crown knocked off. And then you can, and on the other hand, I'm thinking of, you know, getting the crown blasted open, like in the Falarcos tarot. But in that deck, it's not actually the crown; it's the throat that gets blasted open. Either way, the status quo will not prevail. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So same number of stars. I don't know if this one would be intended as the sun and then the 7 planets. And then of course we have all those stars on the, so this one is not, that's right. Yes, I forgot about that. Yes. And that's one of the things I love about Mel Moline and Susie Chang's vlog, old vlog. they do a lot of counting of things in pictures. And so here, of course, in this particular card, we could count also the stars on the robe for any significance. And we've also got a really interesting headpiece going on in this card as well, too. I think it's a nice addition, the incorporation of all the different moon phases. And that depending on the phase of the moon at the time of the reading, do you do that? Do you look and do you acknowledge when the moon comes up in a reading? Do you acknowledge what the phase of the present moon is? I know I do. I spend some time contemplating either at the beginning or later on when I come back to reflect on, the situation at hand, the landscape, the season, the lunar cycle, what's going on. I want to make sure that I haven't forgotten about the macro. And certainly because the lunar cycles are so present in this card, you lose the towers. I like this, the Il Sole, the looks like the twins are fighting here. What are they fighting over? Maybe they're fighting in the other card as well too, like fighting for who will win, fighting for dominance because only one twin will prevail. And look at the face of the sun in the Jodorowsky. Like the sun almost looks drunk. I know. I feel like that is it's for rather than for a reading, it's for tarot study. Sitting on your own. Yeah. I mean, am I going to count the bricks in the back of the sun card? Probably not. Which twin is going to win? And it's interesting how one twin is red and one twin is blue. So if you are looking at temperance or you've got other cards that have red and blue, you might want to look at the dominance of the red and the blue the red and the blue clothing. And I love the sleeves of Judgment here. The angel with the moons and the stars. Yeah, well, Gemini twins, they are Castor. They are. Well, they could be any of the mythological twins, Dee. And I think they could be the two figures in the Lovers card. They could be two of the figures in um, the Pope card. Lots of cards. And we have only two here in Judgment, so that's quite different. Why is that poor soul in the foreground blue? It looks like a zombie. a zombie rising from the dead. And this is such an interesting card. I think it's really pretty combination of, or revisioning of the symbols of the world card. Having that notion of the concrete physical world, and then the four symbols around the outside as well too. And we have writing on this card too. I think it says Florenti. And then the Fool marches off on the next journey. Yeah. Okay, let's have a quick look at the minors, and just so you can see, they are vastly different. And that La Corte does not follow the traditional arrangement of the minor arcana. There's a couple of things that are similar, but it's quite different. And I would say that the deck on the right, you could certainly read as you would any other pip deck. More of a Waitsmith inspired deck that has pipish cards, you know. And there's a lot more little additions to this, and the dragon definitely prevails, or maybe they think that's a dog. So the integrity of the shapes of the Tarot de Marseille is not here, and I would definitely feel free to read the messages of what's going on up on top, and also look to these shapes for messages in this deck. And I do like this shape for 3. It to me, it symbolizes, you know, they're all together and then they come apart, growing in their own directions. Yeah, and that particular arrangement as of 4, maybe more difficult to interpret. And as I stumble through my playing card analyses, this kind of makes sense. This one. Oops, heavy tarot deck falls on floor. Makes big noise. Bada bada boom. So, because what we've got here is the crossroads card. So I can, all of the 5s in playing cards have one pip in the center. So that's something I definitely pick up in this card. Oh, a Viking feel. 3 and 3. And this also fits in well with the playing cards, because the 7 in playing cards also has a stone in the road. And those words come through Anna Cortez. So that's hearts. And depending on whether you're reading it, which way that it shows up, that stone in the road is either early on or later in the journey. And I'm actually learning quite a bit by stumbling through some of these playing card cartomancy books. 8. They both remind me of the 4 and 4. So I think that's a kind of cool. So what I'm picking up on this deck is that the odd numbers, there's something about that odd number that divides or creates pause in between. A different feel than the odd number that almost balances in the center. These cards are quite thick. They're not easy to turn over one card at a time. Okay, quartz. And I know we've looked at all of these before, but let's have a quick look. So horse, what is the horse looking at? How is the horse dressed? What is the caval? Oh, did we? Okay, these must be arranged a little different. Fonti? No, I don't have this right. There you go. Valet and Fonti. Sorry for the pronunciation. Oh, this valet just looks like he's ready to dance. Do some sort of a dance around the one on the left anyway, around his wand. And an older Cavallo di Bastoni. I have a soft spot for the Queen of Wands. I can't say there's too many Queen of Wands cards that I don't like. Unless, of course, she's super young and looks like she should be in some sort of a comic book. And there's your king. So notice the flippant age. So in the Marseille, the masculine suits are traditionally younger. And what I picked up on and then is the older decks, like the Bologna deck, the one, the Fine della Torre that I did the walkthrough of, that was reversed, right? Okay. So your other masculine suit, swords. I like this the stone background. And so I could imagine that with this deck, if you were reading it for the first time, that maybe some of the I mean, they're a different color. I mean, with the Tarot de Marseille, the swords are curved and the wands are straight. But in this deck, they're both straight. So you would need to just, pay attention to that. They are a different color. They are black, like in the Tarot de Marseille. Nice little dragon touch there. and they don't follow the same pattern as the wands. So you would be free to read them. I'm just going to get some of them out so we can compare them. I think that's kind of interesting. Right? So this Four of Swords is a different pattern than the Four of Wands. Right? Than the Five. So the pattern isn't consistent. And I think that it's more like reading shapes and allowing the shapes of the elemental implements to create a, I don't know, it's more free interpretation. And yet, look over here. So up on the top, this triangle, this upward facing triangle, we have 1, 2, 3, we have 6 dots in this triangle up at the top. And there's different little symbols in the tops of all of them. I haven't taken time to sit and examine them. So 7, let's look at the 7 of Wands. No, that's 6. So the 6 is the same pattern. I'm on the wrong one. Oh, I've done these backwards. I'm so sorry. Oh, Sadhana. What have I done? What have I done? Sorry about this. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to fix it. Oh my goodness. Let's go back. 10, 9, 8. Well, let's just look at a few of them because I've kind of messed this up. So let's go back to 4, 5, 2. Sorry, I thought I had sorted these all in order beautifully, but apparently not. Now, what have I done? Please forgive me. Oh my goodness gracious. Honestly, I don't know what I've done. I'm going to have to just fast forward here. So let's go to the 6, which I don't have handy. So, oh my goodness. Okay, best laid plans. Let's go to the 8. 8. So as I was saying, regardless of what the layout is, whether it matches from suit to suit, I think there's a freedom in reading this La Corte de Tarocchi because these shapes really are, they do stimulate the imagination for sure. And if you have a knowledge of cartomantic layouts in playing cards or in other systems, it's definitely going to give you some information to talk about. So the 4 + 4 is cut horizontally instead of vertically. And kind of a cool arrangement for the 10. So valet. And the chessboard is not on all of the cards. I think it would be fun if these pieces kind of look like chess pieces in all of them. That would have been a fun theme to carry through. And we have that epaulette that is seen in the Chariot, and I believe in the King of Pentacles. So that might be a symbol that you carry across. Regina. Sword up, sword down. And we have, looks like two little wildcats on the arms of her chair. That's kind of nice. Leo reference. Okay, so this King of Spades has those red epaulettes too, as opposed to the the yellow ones. So yeah, I think this deck is it's definitely, I should do some current readings with it, but it does read differently than the Tarot de Marseille for sure. She may be doing a peace sign. She may be doing a peace sign. Yeah. Okay. And then my favorite. So the receptive suits. So I really do love this little dragon that's holding the coin. I think that's so fun. I'm just seeing which way we're going here with this deck. There we go. So yeah, I think this deck on the right may be a little easier to read than a Tarot de Marseille. But I think it is, there's so much. I spent many weeks going through the minor arcana on this channel, and there's so much that we can pick up on. If you are familiar with Waite-Smith and you're just have been entrenched in that for years and you feel really uncomfortable, it doesn't take very long to enjoy the spaciousness of the Tarot de Marseille. And this, my friends, is one of my favorite cards in this deck. I love the coins. And we do not have that traditional shape, nor is the creator's name on this one. Yeah. Okay. All right. So these are out of order. There's 4. And it would be interesting to research the markings on these coins as well, too. But you can see it also spells out TRE. But I wonder if these markings are also symbolic of something. So let's find 5. So that one kind of matches for sure. And there is 6. So this is playing card style. And 7. Definitely playing card style. And I guess this is too. And I really liked how Anna Cortez goes into the geomantic patterns that come up in these cards. And that makes me want to just get more familiar a little bit, with some of the meanings of the geomantic figures. I just think they're both so pretty. Yeah. And absolutely, I'm going to have a different feeling about the card on the left and the card on the right. It's going to tell a different story. And to me, that's okay. I've always said to tarot students, people that asking about the tarot, you always pick up the right deck. It's never a mistake, the deck that you pick up. There's a reason why this is the deck that you are working with on this day, and you let the story unfold as you want. 10. Valet. Love the little birdie. So we don't have 2 coins in this one. Interesting. Oops, sorry. And we have a dog. I love the intensity of the gaze in the deck on the left. It's so to me it's so funny, and it's so different comparing these two, their response to the coins. It's kind of crazy. And that just brings in so much story. So much story. Okay, so if you have time, I'm going to show the cups, but I know this has been long, and I want to thank you for watching. And those of you that are watching the replay, I always look forward to your comments. Yeah. Yeah. The cup. And so we're back to the hand offering the cup instead of the dragon biting the coin. You need to see the cups. Okay. Shall I quickly see it? I'm going to quickly put these in order, because apparently I didn't do that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, there we go. They are now in order. And look at the 2 of Cups. It looks like a magician card. And wouldn't it be fun to have a reading with the magician card and this card? I think you could get something really kind of a fun response. So very different than a Marseille 2 of Cups, which is such a gorgeous card. The shape of the 3 is maintained. And we have the table, right? The table. What's underneath the table? I love those kind of questions. I kind of like this phallus thing that's emerging in the Three of Cups. He's blessing the cup. Oh, yeah. 4. And the tablecloth is slightly different in all of them, but I believe the table is there. And then we have the stone, the crossroads, right? The crossroads card. I read an which I don't know which book this was in. Maybe it was in Anna Cortez. So the fives, and it was about why is the fives a challenging card, and it had to do with crossroads and how. Oh, maybe not. I get all my stories mixed up. Oh, you're welcome, Dee. Yeah. Okay. Let's fire through here. 7. Hmm. And here we go back to 4 and 4. 4 and 4. I really appreciated another person. I should write these things down as I read them, but reading minor pips numerologically is a different experience than reading them. I mean, there's different ways to interpret numbers, right? You can read according to the Euclidean way, and there's so many different ways to read numbers, and because of the nature of tarot, I honestly don't think you can get it wrong, and trusting whatever is coming to mind or coming to heart in a reading or coming out of your mouth. Sometimes you're doing a reading and the most random of things come out of your mouth. It's like, oh my God, where did that come from? I've never said that before. Just to allow those things to emerge. And honestly, a best piece of advice, if you don't do a lot of readings and you're only reading for yourself, is to do your readings aloud and record your readings. Hit your voice memo on your phone and say your readings out loud and just yammer away to yourself and pretend like you're doing a reading for somebody. Not only is it a lot of fun, but you'll be surprised at, if you practice this, how much easier it becomes to say more about cards. So 10 cups upright on the table. That's kind of cool how we have the chapel in the background with the Fonte de Coppa. I was going to say something else, but I will refrain. And this looks like a holy man, right? On the Cavallo de Coppa. I love this feature. All right. And for today, our final card. I'm also interested in the shift in color in the cups in this, on the deck on the right. The cups all of a sudden become red in the court cards. So you may read into that. Yeah. Okay. So, my friends, oh my goodness. I hope you're enjoying this journey, and I will be back next Saturday with 2 hours of videos, one side by side likely, and another where we look into the Imperatrice, and I'll be comparing and contrasting lots of Imperatrice cards. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you all very soon. Namaste. Thank you. Bye, Dee.